Salute. I wanted to talk a little bit about Kevin Samuels, right? So before I get into it, allow me to preface my comments by saying I want to focus more on the outcomes, right? And the byproducts of conversations or his influence as opposed to his tonality or his rhetoric. Whether or not you like his tone or whether or not you agree with what he's saying, right? What I was told a very long time ago is that there's 40% truth to every rumor, right? Once there is truth involved in anything, we have to be able to look at it objectively, dissect it, right? Take what we want, eat the meat, spit out the bones, right? Leave what you don't, right? We have to become better, right, at compartmentalizing and extracting and extrapolating from messages what we deem necessary and find important. So, right, with that being said, a critical mass of men for the first time in a while feel like they had a universal figure speaking to the various checkpoints that a man may or has to go through in and throughout their lives, right? So we all understand the various names that he gave to different things, right? But the checkpoints of where a man goes on his maturation is very specific. And there are very little to no, right, universal or mass media entities that speak to that maturation. So what happens? You have a critical mass of men, right, who don't really understand the dynamics they need to have with women in order to have a reciprocal and happy relationship. They don't understand the way they need to show up first in order to secure submission. They don't understand the way that they should operate, stand, and conduct themselves alongside other men, right? We have a critical mass of men, right, growing up in single parent households. We have a critical mass of men who don't have a lot of mentorship, a lot of positive male representation. So the outcomes, right? Black men and women are having very necessary conversations. And whilst it's still rooted in the infancy of the conversation, because we're talking about tonality, at some point, right, his influence sparked the potential to have conversations in real time that may lead to us, right, handling a lot of the issues that the black community has and having black men and black women, at least large in part, get on the same page or on a better page or on a more similar page, right? But those conversations had to be started. And it was always going to be uncomfortable because truth, in my humble opinion, is like alcohol. It's going to burn before it gets better. If truth is like alcohol, it's going to burn before it gets better, right? And when we look at, I challenge a lot of people to look at the maturation of his YouTube career, holding both men and women to a very high standard, asking them to be what it is that they ask from a potential significant other, providing men, right, with the challenge of standing up, overcoming many of the obstacles, right? Overcoming a lot of many of the obstacles that we will face in and throughout life. Challenging black men to leave the comfort of the urban environments that we normally congregate in and go do other things that are typically said or reserved for others. Or we're told or led to believe we won't be accepted. Or we have some sort of internal complex, psychological complex projected by ourselves, but impacting us that prevents us from going to different spaces and trying different things. That has us propagating the notion of black people don't do that or black men don't do this. No, black men do whatever it is black men do. And we can be in different spaces and we have to have the confidence to go to different spaces. So when I talk about the legacy of the influence and we talk about the byproduct of the influence, having honest conversations, is that a plus or minus? Right? Having a critical mass of men have a standard by which they have to live up to.